Welcome back to the channel. We're playing 20 questions with.
Monica M.
All right, let's get into the questions. When I say fountain pen, what pen do you think of?
Schaefer Imperial.
All right, how did you get into pens?
I grew up using them. I mean, I was when I went to school, we had the ballpoint pens and everything, but I don't know somehow in the house we had the occasional fountain pen, and I loved the Schaefer calligraphy kits because the colors of the inks. And my favorite was the green. And in high school, um, there were still enough people using fountain pens that the little shop at my high school carried, I think, Schaefer No Nonsense and the cartridges only in blue. And I still have some of my old high school notes. They were written in fountain pen.
Do you remember what your first pen was?
It probably would have been like a Schaefer calligraphy or no nonsense.
All right, what's your current daily driver?
Oh, when I use all the time my Pelican M600 Glauco Cambon. I like that pen I have far more affection for that than one should for like an inanimate object, but it's just gorgeous.
Yeah. What's your favorite ink currently?
Currently, Ferris wheel press writing desk. And another one, my all-time classic is Urbain Violette Pensée.
All right, I think I know the answer to this question, and if
Mhm.
I don't, I'm going to be shocked and horrified.
Okay.
What's your favorite brand of either pens or ink?
Okay. So modern pens, it is Pelican, but for vintage, Schaefer and Waterman.
Okay.
Inks, I'm kind of boring with them. I will tend to stick to sort of, as much as I love all the sparkles, I have a lot of, like the Waterman and Urban Diamine Classics, because I do have some vintage pens, so I always want to have something that I can pop in those.
Yeah. Important to have something pH neutral
Hmm?
for all those fun vintage stuff. Vintage or modern?
Ooh, um, it's it's a split. I think in terms of nibs, nib quality, definitely vintage. In terms of colors, designs, the more fun stuff, it is modern. But yeah, I now that I've sort of have like the current Pelican collection, I am branching out more into when I go out to events, keeping my eyes out for some of those, windfall vintage pens.
All right. Do you swatch all your inks?
I used to, but I've gotten to the point now where I kind of sort of know what I like. So I don't have the organized Instagram worthy swatch collection. I'll usually maybe just like put a bit of ink in the pen, try it out that way. I don't draw with the inks, so I find the best swatch is to just put it in and write with it.
Do you have any pens that always get the same ink or do you switch it up?
Yes, I do. Um, my absolute favorite pen is a Schaefer Imperial from I think late 60s that is only inked with Urbain Violette Pensée. It's my diary pen. When I do have a little bit of Ferris wheel press Roaring Patina Black
Oh,
that uh, only goes in my Pelican black tortoiseshell. I have a pen I don't use often, Schaefer Intensity. Because it's made in Slovakia, where my family comes from, it is only inked with Pannonia Danube ink. because I use that to send letters and cards to my aunt uh, over there. And it's sort of like my little connection. Um, Otherwise, no, I'll mix and match and just, sometimes if I can't decide, I'll just close my eyes, pick a pen, pick an ink, and there you go, right?
Number 10.
Yeah.
Do you swatch all your nibs so that you know how the pen writes, or do you just know the nib in every pen?
Um, the first time round, yes. When I first get a pen, I do make a little note of, write a few lines indicating what it is.
Yeah.
And for the most part, I don't swap it. Once a nib is in a pen, I really don't swap it except for the Lammy 2000 incident, but we don't have time for that. So, question 11.
I'll have to have you back to discuss the Lammy 2000 incident. Um, what's a pen you wish you'd see in person?
Okay. It's specific. I would love to see uh, any one of Queen Elizabeth II's
Yes.
Parker pens. I want to look at it. That's a very specific one. Yeah.
I would adore being able to see her pen collection.
Right. Especially she used them. It wasn't apparently something that she just used for signing a document. This is something she grew up with and obviously would have had her favorites. So,
Yeah.
I'd love to think that somewhere in her iconic bag she had, tossed in a a Parker or two.
Yeah. I wonder, the UK tends to be pretty good about getting things like that on display at some point. So I wonder if at some point the British Museum or the V&A will have an exhibit on.
I Yeah, that would be awesome.
That would be fun.
Along with that pen that Charles had difficulty with. I would like to just see those two pens side by because that's a great story,
It
right?
is.
It's, I think it kind of summed up a lot of people's feelings. It's like, oh, there's always this change is too much. I can't handle this. And then leaky pens. It's like, a very, very humanizing moment, I thought.
Because I think everyone that's ever used a fountain pen has had an incident where something's happened with a pen. I was filming a video yesterday and that happened where like I looked at mom's hand and mom's hand is covered in red ink and I'm like, okay, where did this come from?
Yeah,
And what
exactly.
has
And then,
occurred?
right, right. Yeah. I'm the queen of those bizarre ink spills. And I don't
I I didn't have the converter seated properly in the pen and it had just like
know.
popped out and the entire body of the
Oh,
pen was full of ink and it had seeped through the threads and it was like
like,
great.
yeah.
What's your current grail?
The pen I just mentioned, if I could somehow purchase, if that pen ever went up on an auction block, uh, but realistically speaking, I would want a vintage sterling silver Yardo lead with the beautiful, intricate
Yeah,
metal work. Um, that would probably be one of the few pens that I would not actually use.
they're a heavy pen. They're on my grail list as well.
Yeah, because I don't like
They're
heavy pens. So to me, that would just be a display
yeah,
piece. But yeah, that would be it.
I would like one on my desk as well.
Wouldn't we all, right?
Well, a lot of people don't like them, and I just think they're absolutely stunning works of art. They're just
They are. Yeah, as a work of art, absolutely. That's what I want.
what pen would you recommend to a beginner?
Ooh, um, I would probably go with something like uh one of the school pens. Even like, the uh, um Schaefer has them. I know a lot of people recommend preppies, but I just found the nibs really hard. The Twisbies are nice, but sometimes I find they can, excuse me, be a little clunky. Um, So yeah, I think I'll stick with one of the school type pens.
Okay.
Brand doesn't really make that much of a difference, and heresy to some, but for beginners, I would always stick with a cartridge. It just makes it easier, and then should they get to the point where they've emptied out all the cartridges, then they can hopefully they have someone nearby who can show them how to refill them, or they can branch out to converters. But I just think when you're learning, there's enough to deal with without, as you said, seeding your converters and everything, picking out the perfect ink. You know, if it comes in the little set, the the cartridge comes with the pen, pop it in
Yeah.
and focus on using the pen and seeing whether you like it.
And lots of ink brands now make cartridges.
They do, yeah. For
And
example, in my Kavecos, I do have converters, but usually I just end up using the cartridges that came with them because those are like my purse pens, my bag pens, and I keep a couple extra cartridges around. I eventually end up refilling them, but it's just so quick and convenient.
all right. What advice would you have for somebody wanting to try out fountain pens who might be a bit intimidated by them?
Um, just give it a try. If you don't like it, no problem. We try a lot of things in life we don't like, and don't spend a fortune. You can get good quality pens out there. Like I said, the school pens, or even there's a lot of us who are selling pens, or who even I found the pen community wonderful for even just giving away things to newbies. So try it, and if you like it, great. If not, there's lots of other things to do with your time.
Yep. What filling mechanism do you think is most interesting, regardless of if you like to use it or not?
Snorkel, Schaefer snorkel. It's just the weirdest thing and ridiculously overcomplicated. I come from a family of engineers, and it's like someone had free time
Yeah,
to figure out how can we needlessly complicate this, but make it so fun and cool.
I have two of them.
Yeah, I
I have
have one.
I have both my grandmother's and my grandfather's.
Nice.
Never used them. They like I've had a lesson from somebody in person who restores
Mhm,
shape for snorkels and how to
mhm.
ink them
Yeah.
properly. I still, for the life of me, can't figure it out when it's time to do it myself, and so they just sit in a box and look pretty. They're lit the only pen I own. Like when
Right.
people go, "Do you actually use your pens?" I go, "Yeah, everything except these two."
Right, right. Yeah. And that one I rarely use because I have had that one, and I have actually one of my favorite writers in terms of just pure writing ability is the I have a Waterman 52 and a half V, but it has the little lever filler, and I can be over like I'm not a strong person, but somehow all my strength, it's like my little fingers turn into Hercules, and I just flip that little lever, and I know I need to replace the sack. So that one doesn't really get used.
Yeah,
But that's on me, not the pet. I would definitely, uh, if I take like pen lever gentleness lessons or something, I would use that one probably
yeah.
like all the time.
I love, I love my Waterman lever filler.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
I use
There.
it. I use it all the time. It's not, I actually, for the first time in a long time, it's not inked up currently,
Okay.
but
Interesting. Okay.
it's
Just giving it a
normally,
little holiday.
well, yeah, I'm trying to like minimize the pens that are inked up for Christmas.
Oh,
When,
it was same here. At one point, I was like, I have everything inked, and it's like, no, I found it wasteful because the ink would dry up, or I didn't
Mhm.
like it. So now I'm trying to keep it to not counting the purse pens or the ones that I just keep like around the house. Keep it down to maybe 10, and that gives me enough
Yeah.
variety. Yeah, and it still allows me to play with different inks.
All right. What nib size do you prefer to write with?
Nib size would be medium or broad, and I don't know if we can throw a grind in there as
You can.
well. Okay, I have an italic broad nib. I love, oh, and an oblique double broad.
Okay.
That one's can be a bit too much, but I just for my writing style, and I do almost exclusively cursive. For the way I grip a pen, the oblique and italic are the absolute favorites.
I have a cursive italic double broad.
Oh, nice,
Super
nice.
fun nib. Is there a style of nib you love or find interesting but would never actually use?
Um, yeah, I saw one. I was thinking it's like called a whale tail, and it's very interesting. But I just think again, for my style of writing, just wouldn't go. But it looks cool, right? So yeah.
Oh, it is super cool. I've played with one.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
but they're totally not meant for writing.
Yeah, they're a drawing, right?
They're a drawing nib. Do you always use the same paper? If so, what paper? If not, what paper's your favorite?
Okay. Um, my absolute favorite paper right now for writing a letter on is passe-pied
Okay.
because I don't like feedback in my pens or my inks. For it's sort of like day-to-day writing pads, notebooks, Clairefontaine, Rhodia. And I'd say in terms of hardcovers, I'm starting to get into dingbats more
Okay.
because they have the perforated pages. I'm taking those
Okay.
on an upcoming trip. And then otherwise I do like Leuchtturm because I tend to do more writing like journal type stuff. And Leuchtturm just has the variety of colors, hardcover, softcover, everything. And I mean, if I was testing inks and things, I would probably use my limited stash of older Tomoe River.
Okay. What is your least favorite ink or ink color family?
Oh, black and gray.
Yeah,
I don't get gray or, I mean, black has a need, but just not my colors.
unless the black is waterproof. There is no point.
Yeah, I'm just, when I do, if I do get mystery samples and there's black ink in there or gray, I have friends that I just have little baggy, put it in there and give it to them when I see them. So yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for playing 20 questions.
Thank you, Alexandra.